Arizona here, lead educator at Embodied Self-Defense, and this is the first video that I have recorded in 2022 for Embodied Self-Defense. And I am bringing some good energy today. I am just feeling so excited about 2022 for this business, for this message, for the people who follow, for our community, for just the vibe of what we've got going on here. I just feel so overflowingly optimistic, and that is good. And I'm very, very, very excited about some of the things that we're going to be sharing this year and the ways that we can just help everyone feel better and stronger, more resilient, more empowered, know themselves better, trust themselves better, have a better relationship with themselves, feel stronger, feel like they can look after themselves. That is a great thing to encourage people to discover within themselves. So it really, really just fills me right up. So today's video is how to be happy in 2022. So first, why does happiness matter for self-defense? Isn't self-defense just about punching and kicking? Well, if you've been following the channel for a while, you will know that I definitely don't think that's the case. So why is happiness important for self-defense? Because, for example, I took a break over the festive period and I was really called to write the details of my traumatic life experiences and kind of in a sort of story format, and I wanted to look at it with kind of fresh eyes and stuff like that. And, it really just brought home for me how, as many of you will know in my story, I had all this martial arts experience. I was a capable fighter and stuff, but what was really missing was the mental aspect for me. I was in a really bad place. Like, I was making decisions that were self-destructive because I didn't like myself. I didn't trust myself. I didn't know what a healthy relationship was. I didn't know what treatment I deserved. I didn't know it was like boundaries, all this sort of stuff. So, when we're in a really bad place where we're not feeling good, we're very stressed out, we're not in our best self to make good decisions for ourselves, And for us, a self-defense event is any time internal or external forces are trying to remove your power, okay? So for us, a self-defense event is when you are bullying yourself as much as another person might be bullying you. So for us, happiness, a sense of well-being, is really, really important for the purpose of making good decisions that make you feel better, make you feel stronger, keep you safer, empower you to bounce back from challenges, all that kind of stuff. So really, happiness is very, very important. Now, the next thing that I want to say is, everyone's version of happiness is different, okay? Which sounds like a bit of a cop-out. Can't just give you the universal answer for everyone. How to be happy, just take this pill. That's obviously not how it works. So even with that, being true, that everyone has a different version of happiness and everyone's route to happiness is different, that doesn't mean that there aren't answers out there that can benefit everyone. So I wrote down 3 things that are a really, really good kind of basic framework for how to achieve happiness in 2022. So the first one is actually about finding out how to communicate with your own inner guidance, okay? Again, this is really related to the concept of everyone's version of happiness is different, okay? For one person, going out for walks all the time, for miles and miles and miles on really cold days would be something that made them feel really refreshed and great. But for another person who has chronic fatigue syndrome or, a health condition or something, maybe that wouldn't be the right thing. So actually, when we're trying to find happiness for ourselves, the step that comes before that is actually how can we learn to dialogue with our own internal navigation, And that process, I have a question at the end which can help us kind of tap into that. But really, for a lot of things in life, I think many people would benefit from being able to tap into that. And that's, that voice inside is something like your gut instinct. It's like that kind of small voice that's sometimes the voice that is the voice that you're scared to lean into because it's difficult, it's uncomfortable. Maybe leaning into that voice means breaking some of the conditioning that you've been brought up with. I mean, it can be quite a tough process to, first of all, even distinguish this voice inside our mind, or this communication. It's not always going to be a verbal voice. Sometimes it could be a sensation in your stomach. It could be a sensation in your heart. It could be tingles in your body, something like that. So learning how to communicate with your internal navigation is a really, really important part of finding your route to happiness, which will be very different from another person's, okay? And the best person in the world to tell you about how you can be happy is going to be you. And maybe that doesn't seem like that at this moment in time, because most of us don't, kind of in our culture, don't ever really get taught how to talk to this voice or how to hear it. And also as well, we are victims of culture in a way. There's a cultural ideal of what should make us happy, and that doesn't always fit with what feels natural to us, And I think about it almost like music, you don't predetermine what kind of music you like. Something already within you likes that kind of music. And so it's like music, we sense, I'm drawn to this thing here, okay, and then we lean more into that, and that's going to be different for all different people. So I will actually give you a concrete takeaway from that. I know that sounded quite vague, but I will give you a concrete takeaway, an action point at the end of this for that one. Okay, so the second point is, first of all, we've got the hearing the voice of our truth, connecting to our own internal navigation about what's right and wrong for us. And then the second part is actually having tools to survive the discomfort of taking action aligned to that voice, okay? Let's take an example. Say, for example, I want to get really fit and healthy in 2022, but I also have an addiction to eating, a very emotional relationship with eating. I tend to binge, then maybe I'll kind of do like a feast famine thing, it'll just be all over the place, and I'll have a lot of shame attached to that, a lot of guilt, which really just feeds into the cycle, keeps it going, okay? So my internal voice of truth in this example, this imaginary example, says to me, my absolute truth says to me, I know that I really want to be in a place of better physical health. I know it's not about body image. It's not about, culture says this is better and that's better. I just know within myself that I want to feel healthier. I want to feel more energized. I want to feel that I'm living who I really want to be. And so that's going to be, with an emotional addiction to food there, that is going to be so, so tough to break that habit of, the unhealthy habits that are preventing you from being in the place that you want to be, okay? So in this example, I want to be healthier, so I'm going to try and resist that snacking. If we don't have tools to survive resisting the snacking, we've got no hope, People think that you can just willpower through these sorts of things, but, this is an unconscious process in the body, and it's very, very hard to overcome the unconscious, okay? So having tools to survive the discomfort of acting aligned to your truth is a really essential part. Let's call that number 2, okay? Number 1 is actually communicating with your internal navigation, finding a way to do that. Number 2 is having tools to survive when you actually act on that, because no doubt, it's going to be uncomfortable at times, because you're breaking conditioning, because you're going against culture, because you're going against defense mechanisms that you've learned from childhood to protect yourself. There's so many layers to this, so we need to have tools to get through it. It's not enough to just say, I just need to man up, I just need to toughen up, I'm just being so weak. These are also habits that we need to break if we are going to be happy in 2022. And then the third thing is habits, okay? Habits. I just finished the sentence saying habits. It's all very much, a lot of it is about habits, okay? We can have our, listening to the voice. We can have our taking time to contemplate, to, reflect inside. We can have our tools to survive the discomfort of acting aligned to our truth. But then also we need that daily top up, because lots of things will come our way on different days. Somebody drops this thing on our plate, this thing comes up in the news, this other life event happens. maybe, hormones and stuff like that. Like these are all fluctuating things. So we need to have a daily kind of top up that just gives us a little bit of extra juice to help us be more resilient when those challenges come around. Very quickly, if you imagine that a person's kind of daily mode of operating is in a kind of green band, okay, and there's almost like a wave within the green band, okay, you kind of go up and down within this green band of healthy resilience, like somebody shouts at you and you don't completely lose your shit, you're just like, okay, I can handle that, whatever, it doesn't bother me. But when we're super stressed out, or when we're not feeling very flexible, we are very prone to either going into like a kind of hyper agitation or a hypo agitation. So we could go into a state of being completely, depressed, just numb, just, zoned out, zombie, right at the bottom, just in that hypo state. Or we can move into that hyper state where we become very anxious, very controlling, feel like we're running very fast, that sort of thing. We could be quite reactive. So the point of me saying that is that when we have good, healthy habits, we can widen that window, that green window, okay, which gives us more control about the things that we do and the way that we respond to things. And remember, we can't control how we react to situations, because, somebody surprises you, you don't go, oh, I'm going to be surprised. You just go, ugh, I'm in a state of surprise. You don't choose, I'm going to be hungry right now. You just experience hunger, okay? But what we do have control over is our reaction to the reaction, okay? I feel hunger. Okay, what am I going to do about that hunger? Am I going to eat or am I going to not eat? That's a choice, okay? And I know it's not always easy, particularly when these things that come up naturally are products of our defense mechanisms, childhood traumas, mental health, whatever it is. But the truth is that we can control our reaction. And there are different parts of that, okay? So let's get to the action points, okay? So there are 3 questions that I want you to ask yourself every day, or as often as you can, remember to, in 2022. And these questions are, one of them, the last one, is about connecting to that internal navigation. It's about learning to feel your feelings, because many of us have had to numb out to our feelings in order to survive today's world. It's not natural to sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, or there are so many things about modern life that are just not healthy, and the only way that we can get through them in order to function in modern world is to do a process of numbing. So it's good to have choice in this area, to choose and be aware that we're numbing, but then also have a choice to feel. So this question here, I'll just say it now, is about feeling, okay? So every day in 2022, or as often as you can remember, I want you to ask yourself, how do I feel right now? Okay, so how do I feel right now? I'm pretty happy, excited. Okay, and then the kind of like sub question with that is, what are the physical sensations, or what are the body states that let me know I'm feeling that? Like, how do I know I'm feeling happy? So I know I'm feeling happy right now because my heart is beating quite quickly. I know that I'm happy because, the sides of my mouth are like coming up. I know that I'm happy because I'm talking with energy. I know that I'm happy because I feel light. I don't feel tense and stuck. I feel kind of flowing and at ease. So yeah, and the point of this isn't to say, oh, it's good that I feel good, or it's bad that I feel bad. This is a mindfulness process of just noticing sensations in the body, okay? Now that sounds like quite a distance away from connecting to your internal navigation, but this is connecting to your internal navigation is built through a habitual process. It's built in little steps. It's like mastering any skill. You don't just do it on the first day, you're like, okay, I can do it now. It starts with little steps, and as you build that mastery, suddenly you have a whole new source of intelligence and line of communication that can impact your decisions, okay? So this is really, really, really important. How do I feel and what are the physical sensations? And for those of you who ever actually studied self-defense with us, you will know that is a huge part of connecting to your gut instinct when we're speaking about danger, okay? I'm in a situation, I'm with this person. How do I feel right now? And how do I know that that's how I feel? Okay, and when you look into that question, you might be surprised by what you find, actually. You know, this person is always telling me that they are my friend, but actually, when I'm around them, you know, I feel quite closed, and there's something in me that just doesn't sit right, you know, and that's worth investigating. That in itself isn't a conclusion, it's just a clue to investigate further. But yeah, so I'm going to close that one there, because I could just talk forever. Okay. The next question is partially about survival mindset, that skill of reframing. It's also just a super handy question for when we get kind of sucked into negativity. And there's a lot of that going on just now because, you know, there's awful stories in the news pretty much all the time. You know, there's so many reasons to feel stressed out, and sometimes you kind of catch yourself and you've gone down a rabbit hole of speaking about this, that, and the next thing, and you know, you actually sit and notice, God, I feel so deflated right now. How did that happen? And a great tool and question for that time is, what's something I can be grateful for, or what are 3 things I can be grateful for? And I know that that can sound a bit like toxic positivity. This isn't about, you know, being in, you know, like a terrible situation and just, what's 3 things I can be grateful for in out of that situation. You know, it's the purpose of this isn't to mask a difficult situation and pretend it's okay. That's not what this is for. This is for changing your track, you know, and being able to see both sides of the coin when you are feeling less than, okay? So what's 3 things I can be grateful for? And again, these don't have to be massive things, you know, it doesn't have to be like, oh wow, I overcame cancer or something, you know. It could be like something, you know, particularly things that are very present and very here and right now, and perhaps things that would be taken for granted usually. Those are the best things for gratitude. So 3 things I'm grateful for right now. I'm grateful for wearing my dressing gown. You know, I am supposed to be a lead educator, professional self-defense woman, but I also am a free person and I'm a human being, and I love this dressing gown and it is so comfortable, and I wanted to wear it when I did this video. So I'm grateful for this really cool hooded leopard print dressing gown that feels so cozy on my skin right now. I'm grateful for the sunshine that's shining through right now. It looks so beautiful. It fills me with hope. I am grateful for the plants in this house. They add some really nice greenery to the room right now. Okay. Okay. And the final question that I want you to ask, and this is perhaps the most difficult one, and this one again is very much related to some of the self-defense stuff that we speak about in our courses. This one is, what's something I can be proud of? Okay. Now I know that could be a really tough question for a lot of people because they think, oh God, I've never done anything like worthy of achievement or recognition. But the point is, again, like the grateful thing, we're not looking for, oh, you know, like I got the highest marks in my class. I won I made £1 million or something, you know. It's really small stuff. So something I can be proud of is, you know, like I actually, and again, like the things that we take for granted are often good things to be proud of, okay? So, because remember, a lot of these things are choices. So I'm proud of myself for actually getting out of bed today. That was a choice. I didn't have to do that. I made that choice. And maybe I've got a lot of stuff going on, so that was an especially difficult choice. So you know what? I'm actually proud of myself for doing that. Maybe you're proud of yourself for choosing a healthy breakfast instead of no breakfast, or, you know, a really unhealthy breakfast. Maybe you're proud of yourself for even just considering the question, because normally you're a person who is very self-hating. and really struggles with something like that. So I'm really proud of myself for being open-minded enough to try something different in 2022. I'm really proud of myself for surviving everything I've survived until today. I'm really proud of myself for still going to that hobby that I really love, even though it's been hard because I've had some off time during the break or because of COVID or whatever. I'm really proud of myself for sticking with something, even though it's been tough. There are actually a lot of things to be proud of when you take away the taking for grantedness, and when you take away that natural inclination to just self-hate, to self-depreciate. And remember, that in itself can be a survival mechanism. But I can go into that another time. Okay, so to clarify, to conclude concisely, how to be happy in 2022. Firstly, happiness, very important for self-defense, because when we're not in a good space mentally, we're not going to make good decisions, okay? Second thing, everyone's version of happiness is different, okay? So there's no one cure-all fix for everyone. Everyone's version is going to be infinitely different, and everyone's journey to get there is going to be infinitely different, which is why the only way to become happy is to find out what makes you happy, yeah? So our kind of key steps here are, number one, connecting to that internal navigation, okay? That finding out what it is that you like, learning to notice that feeling of, I like this, I don't like this, what constricts me, what opens me up. That in itself can be a really good clue about the next step you should take on your journey towards happiness. So then number two is having tools to survive the discomfort of leaning into those actions aligned to your truth, because sometimes those decisions can be really scary. Sometimes that means saying goodbye to something that you've been holding on to for a long time, and that means facing up to a lot of grief about wasted time or wasted resources, or maybe there's a lot of shame for some mistakes or wrong choices. So we're going to need some tools to survive that, okay? Example tools could be journaling, support networks, exercise, breathing exercises, mindfulness practice. There are lots of things out there. And then the third thing is about having some habits to kind of give you that daily top up so that you've got more resilience, so that you widen your window, that green band that we were speaking about that we normally operate in. If we can get that nice and wide, that's going to stop us going into those extreme territories where we're really out of control. So our kind of 3 action takeaways to help us move forward in each of these areas are: ask yourself 3 questions every day, or as often as you can remember in 2022. Those questions are: what are 3 things I can be grateful for? Number 2, what's something I'm proud of? Number 3, how do I feel right now, and what are the body sensations, what are the physical sensations, or how do I know that's how I feel? Okay, well, that was a fun video. Yay! Really hope it helped you. And if you ever have any content requests or something, or a question, you can send us a private message, or drop us a comment, or whatever you want. We would love to be of service to you in 2022. That was a rhyme. Woo! Okay, signing out. Goodbye.